All right, we're going to continue on with fractions, and we should be on level 7. If you check your mastery tracker and you see gaps, or you realize you have not passed a level, go back and finish levels that are preceding or before level 7, and then kind of catch up to where we're at. And then you'll have no gaps missing, which is important because all of this stuff builds on each other. Okay, I'm going to review 2 skills that you need to do level 6 and 7 because you do both skills kind of smushed together. So the first one is multiplying a fraction, which is 3/4, just a simple numerator-denominator fraction with a whole number, which is 4. I'm going to point out that there's a multiplication sign in between the two, which means we are multiplying both parts together. So I'm taking a whole number and I'm multiplying it by the fraction. This is not a mixed number. This is a multiplication problem. So in order to do this, I'm going to multiply the 4 or the whole number by my numerator, 4 times 3. That's going to give me my answer's numerator, which is 12. And then my denominator in my fraction is 4. And it's going to stay a 4 in my new denominator in my answer. This is an improper fraction, my answer, because the 12 is the numerator, is a larger number than my 4, which is my denominator. I don't need to change it to a mixed number. I can leave it as an improper fraction and just move on. The next skill I want to review is changing a mixed number. See how there's no multiplication sign here? This is a whole number and a fraction piece, but they're squished together. This is a mixed number, and I need to go over how to change it into an improper fraction, which was like the answer we just got before. So in order to do that, I'm going to use the circle method, which means to multiply on the bottom, and then we're going to add on the top. So if I do that, I have a 3, and I'm going to multiply it by 3, which gives me 9. If you thought in your head 6, you added them, but we're multiplying. So then I'm going to take the 9 and add 2 more, which is 11. And then I'm going to take my denominator from my mixed number and move it over to my improper fraction like always. So it stays the same. It's a 3. So I'm getting 11/3. These mean the same thing. They are equivalents, but they look different. One is a mixed number. One is an improper fraction. Those are the 2 skills we need to be able to complete level 6 and 7. So let's jump into that. Here's what we're working with level 6 and 7. I have a mixed number, a whole number, and a fraction piece smushed together, and a whole number, and I need to multiply both of them. Like I need to multiply them together. Sorry, that wasn't very clear. So that's a little different. Before it was a fraction and a whole number. Now it's a mixed number and a whole number. So the first thing I need to do is I need to make my mixed number 2 3/4 easier to work with. And the way I'm going to do that is by changing it to an improper fraction so that I can do the math problem at, oh, too far. And it'll look kind of like this screen. I'll have a fraction and a whole number, but I need to get that mixed number into an improper fraction first. So let's do that. I'm going to multiply on the bottom and I'm going to add on the top. So 4 times 2 is 8 plus 3 more is 11. And then my denominator is 4 and that stays the same. So I have 11/4 times 4. All I did was I rewrote the multiplication symbol from here to here, and then I rewrote the 4 from here to finish my number sentence. So now I'm going to multiply 11/4 by 4, and I'm going to do that the way that we practiced very first. I'm going to switch back to black so that you can see. I'm going to multiply 4 times 11, which I know is 44. As my numerator, my denominator, shocker, stays the same. So I'm going to have 4 on the bottom. This is an improper fraction because the numerator is a larger number than my denominator, and that's okay. I can leave it like that, and I can move on. I have one more. It's a tiny bit harder, and I'll show you why. Same steps to begin with. I'm going to change my mixed number to an improper fraction so that I can multiply with it. Multiply on the bottom and add on top. I have 5 times 3, that equals 15. And then I need to add 2 more, which equals 17. So I'm going to have 17 as my numerator, 5 as my denominator, which equals 17/5 as my improper fraction. And then I need to multiply it by 5. I'm just dragging down the multiplication sign and the 5. And then I have a number sentence that I can complete. 17 times 5 is not something that I maybe could do in my head or count on my fingers, because 17 fingers, I have 10. That's going to get a little confusing. So this is the extra step that I mentioned would be a little trickier. I'm going to use standard algorithm of multiplication to help me figure it out. So I'm going to do it in green up in the corner where you see the extra space. So I'm going to do 17 times 5. So I start in my ones place, 5 times 7. I'm doing 1 digit by 1 digit multiplication. 5 times 7 is 35. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So I regroup the 3 and I write the 5. So 35. Now I'm moving on to 5 times 1. Same 1 digit by 1 digit multiplication. 5 times 1 is still 5. And then I add on the 3 that I had to regroup before. So 5, 6, 7, 8. So my answer is 85. And what that answer was is not the entire answer. That was for part of my multiplication down here. So it was my numerator. So 5 times 17 equals 85. That was my numerator that I had to solve. And then the denominator stays the same. So 85/5, that's a big, big number, but it's an improper fraction, and I can leave it like that. So I had to do one extra step to do that multiplication, but once I did that, I was good to go.